17th, I don't know how. We won it in Bilbao. Come on, people. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Brighton 4. A end to the season we all expected. They've all been on the lash. They've all been on the piss. I'm here with Marlon from Spurs Kings TV. Look, we expected this result, to be honest. And to be fair, the first half, we were 1-0 up, playing quite well.
Yeah, I didn't expect the first half.
Didn't expect the first half, running around.
Confused me.
But obviously, clearly, all caught up within the second half. You could see the players could barely run. A lot of them. Johnson, I don't know how he played 90 minutes. A few of them, Bentancur obviously went off early, and clearly all the celebrations after the game have been catching up with a lot of the fans. But yeah, we have been beaten 4-1 in our last home game against Brighton, which does mean that Tottenham do finish 17th in the Premier League this season. 38 points, 22 defeats. I think at home, I don't know, 10 losses is it now at home?
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Obviously, you're going to get a few fans after today saying it's unacceptable. You can't lose this. You can't lose another defeat. 22 defeats, 17th, all this kind of stuff. But if you saw the reaction in the stadium after conceding that fourth goal, loudly singing "Oh," and the Spurs, loudly cheering on the team, sounded like the guys in the stadium today didn't care too much. But it's hard to analyse in terms of the game, but look, as we'll go through it, first half, 1-0 up. Solanke scored a penalty. Tell was looking bright early on, causing them problems.
Yeah, he had a shot as well.
It
should have been two.
Should have been two, yeah. Should have been two. He'll be disappointed. Tell was causing problems. And we were pressing quite well. Bentancur, Gray in the middle were pressing quite well. We defended. I can't remember too many chances Brighton had in that first half.
They were over the bar and I think Karius saved one. There weren't many to talk about. It was quite a decent, hard-fought performance in the first half. But I think where Sarr was on the pitch and we didn't have that attacking midfield, we had a flat three. So it meant that Sarr was backing up both midfielders, and it just meant that Brighton weren't getting. It reminded me a lot of Man United, but this time we were getting chances with it. However, once that half finished, it was kind of like, okay, here we go. We
knew we probably had to be more than a goal up.
Yeah, we had to be, and we were debating when that alcohol was going to kick in.
Yeah, it's true.
Because we were a bit like, what the hell are you doing? Because like most of us fans are feeling it, and we've been on a bender for 2 days. You lot have been on a bender for 2 days. You ain't playing full. Yeah, so no sleep, no nothing, and it was kind of like, when are Brighton going to actually come into this game? And as soon as that second half kicked in, I think Sarr was probably feeling it a little bit. He wouldn't have been drinking, but he probably was feeling it, probably lack of sleep and young, and he's done a lot of running around. And so he came off for Odegaard, and it just changed the whole dynamic of the game. I don't know if it was going to change anyway, but it just seemed to change. It just put it more in Brighton's favour. Odegaard probably didn't touch the ball for 10 minutes, it looked like. But yeah, I think a lot of us at the beginning of this game said 3-0, 4-0 anyway.
Yeah, it was gonna. I was expecting a heavy defeat today because we saw, didn't we, with the celebrations. Yeah. For literally the last 3 days, the parade. They were drinking beers on the open top bus. Look, at the end of the day, the club consciously made a decision to put that parade on the Friday. Yeah. Right. They didn't do it on the Monday. They could have done it tomorrow. They didn't. They made a decision.
I don't think they were allowed to.
Well, why wouldn't they be allowed to?
Because of Wembley being used.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, because of the policing. It was the police that said we had to do Friday. And because Wembley was being used Saturday, Sunday, because Crystal Palace have obviously got their parade Monday, but it's in South London. We're in North. The police are going to basically be at the finals. Meant that the only day we had free was Friday.
Okay, fine.
So we had no choice.
I guess we had no. Well, unless they could have done the Tuesday.
They could have probably done the Tuesday, but I suppose they could have done the Tuesday.
Well, I guess what's the difference in the Friday
what's
and
the
the
difference?
Tuesday?
I think it's because all the players were going away. I think they've all booked. I think they've all booked to go away, so they might have done it that way.
Well, at the end of the day, we had the parade on the Friday. You could see the open top bus. Everyone was drinking. Everyone having a great time. You could see Brennan was absolutely smashed. Sonny was drunk. He was swearing on his speeches, all this kind of stuff, and told them to enjoy it. And hell, did they enjoy it? So, for me, I'm not too bothered about today. Obviously, when you take the whole league season into account, it's been a disaster, the league season. 17th is something we never really expected.
Yeah,
it's worse than poor, let's be honest.
It's so poor. But the only thing I would say is, let's go back to January quickly. Let's just quickly go back to January window. We didn't sign a player for that first team to help Ange out for nearly how many days? And Danso and who else came in? Tell came in at the last minute. The club didn't act. And we all said last summer they didn't act. And actually, when it came down to it, Ange was left exposed a little bit with it. Now, I'm not making excuses for Ange, but the club needs to pay a price for this as well, because they had a chance. They went all out for Mawani, and that was it. And you're like, hold on, we still need a defender. If Dragishi never got injured, oh my God, we would have been stuck, absolutely stuck. So I'm not going to sit there. Look, Ange takes the blame for most of it, but he's come out and said, look, he's concentrated on Europe. If you look at some of the games where he was using the starting 11 constantly over the 3 days, they looked absolutely knackered, and he should have changed the tactics. I completely agree with it. He should have changed it, maybe gone more defensive, more passive, so we were harder to break down. However, he got to a semi-final of a Carabao Cup, and he beat Manchester City, Manchester United, and Liverpool in the first leg in it. Yes, he got absolutely trounced in the second leg, and Coventry was poor. FA Cup, poor against Tamworth, which was probably our second poorest game after Leicester, I'd probably say, when I calculate the whole season. And then Aston Villa came 3 days after Liverpool. And they looked, and he had to basically use the same 11, and they looked absolutely knackered. So, but we had this reprieve in the Europa League. And before people say, all right, we beat Cannon Fodder, we beat this, we beat that. Okay, let's take who we beat. We beat Alkmaar, who was in our group, who we only beat 1-0 when we had our team.
Thrashed Galatasaray. In the round before.
So the only reason why we got them was because of that. Frankfurt, was it after that?
Yeah. Third in the Bundesliga.
Third in the Bundesliga. Going to be playing Champions League football next year. So does that mean the Champions League is poor? Okay. And then we got onto Bodo, who knocked out, was it Olympiacos, if I remember correctly, Lazio, who the two teams that I was more worried about if we had to play them away. And then they got through it. They beat those teams who we were all saying, oh, we'd struggle. And Bodo Glimt were probably, I think if Richarlison didn't come back when he did, we may have had a bit more trouble breaking them down, because they're not very good in the air. However, we broke them down and beat them. We have to beat what's in front of us. And then we played a Manchester United side. Yes, they've had a poor season in the Premier League, but they went the whole Europa League unbeaten. So it's not nothing to be frowned upon.
They knocked Arsenal out the FA Cup, so
and
they can turn up on
like they did today. They've turned up against Villa as well.
Yeah, like Liverpool, they got a draw at Anfield 2-2.
Yeah,
like yes, I know they're not a good United side. I know I'm not sitting here saying it was an unbelievable achievement to beat that United team, but we know that United on their day can turn it on. As I said, they knocked Arsenal out the FA Cup. So it's not a given. And also you had before Carragher saying no chance Tottenham beat United in a European Cup final. So it's not like it was a given we were going to win that game.
And that's the thing. So I'm looking at, we've had a big high, but we've also had lows. And I think at the end of the day, I think every time we've won a cup, I think we've finished mid-table or below anyway. So we as fans need to think about, do you want Norwich away, or do you want, what do you call it, Wednesday night?
Exactly.
And that's what we have to weigh up as fans, because if you go by history under this ownership, the two trophies that they've won, we've had poor seasons. We've had poor seasons. So I know people will be asking, saying we should have finished higher, but we have finished where we finished. It can only be an improvement.
And look, there's no getting away from it. I acknowledge it's an embarrassing league finish. There's no. I'm not going to sit here and say
it's been horrible.
It's a good thing we finished here, or it's fine. It's not fine. We know that a lot of things massively need to improve and need to change. But at the end of the day, this is the season we ended 17 years of hurt. This is the season we've ended with a 4-year wait for a European trophy. We've got over the line. The team is together. The team, I think, are behind the manager. I do think, with some good additions, we've got that money now with the Champions League football we're going to be playing next season to really reinforce the squad, hopefully, and give a really good cracker next season. And despite the fact it was another heavy defeat today, which let's be honest, we all expected. It's not really a surprise we lost today, given the state of the players, and Brighton as well had something to play for. I know you can maybe look at other games like Everton had nothing to play for, they won, and you had United had nothing to play for against Villa and they won. And that's fair enough, but they haven't spent the last few days celebrating. Look at Liverpool's form over the last few weeks.
Liverpool's
been terrible. They've been getting beat, and that's because they've been partying and they've been on the beach and celebrating because they've achieved something. That's what happened with us today. So,
but we need to appreciate this moment right now, because we're not going to get many of these moments with this cup. And I know people will be like, we can't ignore the league form. But I'm going to ignore the league form until August. I'm sorry, I'm going to be that shameless. That cup win on Wednesday was completely what I've been asking for so long, and I got it. And I had to go through this terrible season. Look, I was, after the Leicester game, I wanted Ange gone. I said I didn't care who was in. But however, he got us over the line. Something that, like he said, other managers haven't been able to do. Let's appreciate what we've got now. Let's not think about next season just yet. Let's appreciate this summer. Let's go and say we won the Europa League. And then let's think about next season, and then when it comes to it, because we've still got a Super Cup to play.
Are people, I know I can see in the chat, do people seriously have the energy to moan today?
There's no.
Are you really going to moan today about a defeat in a game which ultimately meant nothing, just a few days after winning the Europa League? Is that what we're going to do? Now is about celebrating. Now is about being happy. Now is about. I know. We've won the trophy. We have to move forward from that, and that will happen. That the time to move forward from that will happen. We're not even a week away from that trophy win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look, at the beginning of the season, at the end of the day, the goal was Champions League and a trophy, and here we are with that,
sitting there with a trophy
and Champions League football. That is what we've done, and I know 17th is a horrible position to be in. It's an embarrassing position.
Horrible.
It's an embarrassing position to be in. We're only above the 3 relegated teams. But I think there are reasons why we're in that. We finished in that position. Clearly, in the last few weeks, we've been putting all our eggs in that Europa League basket. We've been playing our best sides. We've literally been using the Premier League as training matches ahead of the Europa League. During that December period, we were absolutely decimated with horrible injury problems. We were playing the likes of Gray at centre back alongside Dragoshin and no Vicario. We were playing Fraser Forster.
There was a lot of games as well,
and loads of games and tough games and just non-stop. And we managed to get through the Europa League games, but a lot of the Premier League games just weren't able to do it. And I do think, first of all, as well, also think. Since the players have come back, injury-wise, I think he's dealt with it a lot better in terms of when we haven't seen too many muscle injuries since the players have come back. Not many hamstring
and they've all been in games as well, so it's not been like training where we go.
No, it's just been knocks and things like that. So I think the injury front, I have reason to believe, hopefully, we're not going to have the same injury crisis next season as we did this season. I've got hope for that. I can see the players are behind him. The players clearly want him to stay. They want to. I think they really, really believe in him. When he says something like I always win in my second season, goes and does it, that belief that will give the players. You can't underestimate that, and the togetherness that trophy win is going to give them. That actually won a trophy, the experience of winning something. So for me, today is not the day to complain about.
The question is, I'll ask people in the chat right now: is would you rather be us right now or Aston Villa?
Exactly.
That is a valid question. You've got to ask yourself that question, because I know a lot of people going 22 defeats, but you've got to ask yourself a question: or would you rather be Man United right now, where it completely Wednesday you get beat and then we're sitting here 17th? I get it, and I was out, but he gave me something I thought I'd never see, and I can't dismiss that. I'm not going to dismiss that. I am literally over the moon. Just being at that parade on Friday, I tell you now, I want that again. I really want that again. And sometimes you got to take the rough with the smooth, unfortunately. You do.
Mm-hmm.
You do. And I know everyone be saying, but why can't we win cups and be in the top 4 as well? Unfortunately, under this ownership, it doesn't happen. You either get one or the other. And a lot of people say, but protesting don't work and this, that, and the other. So I'm stuck with Levy. So at the end of the day, I've got to make sacrifices. I could sit there and go, I want top 4 and I want trophies at the same time. It just doesn't seem like it's going to work that way. So I've got to take a backdoor route through it. So I'm going to sit there and say, look, I'm not going to, this season has been an absolute mess. I have not wanted to come on We Are Tottenham TV. I have not sometimes because I just thought, what am I doing? This is enough. And I wanted Ange gone. Right now, I'm not sure what's going to happen. But let me enjoy this next month or so. I'm going to enjoy this trophy. And then when it comes to next season, as a fan base, let's reassess. Let's reassess what happens.
You can defend 22 defeats. Well, I can defend a trophy. I can defend a Europa League. That's what I can defend. You know, that's what we've been craving for. Yeah. That's what all we've wanted for years. This club is obsessed with it. Yeah. We're obsessed.
You saw him. How emotional people were. It was literally crying. Yeah, they were crying. You think they'll be
crying? We finished fourth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no one. Like, let's go back.
Going to be shedding a tear.
I always go back to that Norwich game when we played when Conte secured 4th spot. Everyone was happy, but everyone was still like, "Oh, we need to do this. We need to do that." But this time we've got, and we wanted a trophy. That's why we brought in the Mourinhos and we brought in the Contes. It's what us fans wanted, unfortunately. And like Ange said, he came here to win things, and he did, unfortunately. He did it in probably the worst season that we've ever had in the Premier League, but he went and won something. And it's just like, let's park the league season for a minute and enjoy the moment that we had. How many people were congratulating us for winning that game? Getting over it. It's like one of the best trophies to win. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every moment of it because actually the season was so bad. It was just like, I'm going to enjoy this moment. And that's what people need to do. They need to enjoy the moment right now and forget the league season up until you're ready to think about it next season. And think about it like this. You've got a Super Cup to look forward to as well. Exactly. In early August, you've actually got a look for the Super Cup. Arsenal ain't got one. Manchester City have got their Super Cup. What was it, last year they won it? They got theirs. So come on, people. Just reflect a little bit and kind of go, yes, 22 defeats is terrible. If you want Ange out, that's you. But enjoy what we've got. Just enjoy it. Please, Spurs fans, enjoy it. Just don't sit there and take this for granted because it might be another 17 years before we win another one. Exactly. Think of it like that.
Someone said in the comments, would you take 17th in a trophy next season? Well, if it's the Champions League, I would. 100%, I'm taking 17th in a Champions League. I think you can stay. Look, at the end of the day, if you look, you can look over this season, the league season, how bad it was. But terrible. Over his 2-year period, first season, he's finished 5th.
Yeah.
And then second season, he's... yes, he's finished 17th, but he's won a European trophies. He's finished 5th and won a European trophy, right, in his first 2 seasons at the club. I can't remember too many other managers who have had a better first 2 seasons.
Well, this is the thing. Like everyone was talking about when Poch left, he was never backed. He never got over the line.
Poch in his first 2 seasons finished fifth in his first and 3rd in his second, but no trophies. Ange finished 5th in his first, and yes, it was 17th, but he won a European trophy, so he got into the Champions League.
If people want to know trophies and finishing 4th every year, that's down to them. You know, it is down to them. But I really wanted a trophy, but now I'm expecting, and this is the thing now, I'm not expecting 17th next year, and I'm not expecting 22 defeats. I'm expecting him to actually change this around, and I'm not going to lie, I'll be the first one on his back, because I didn't want this season, but I ended up getting a trophy at the end of it, and I'm just looking at it going, look, he has promised again that the third season is going to be better than the second. He did say to us at the beginning he was going to win a trophy. You know, he's backed it up so far. He has actually backed it up, and that's the worst thing about it. He's actually backed it up. Let's see what happens. Let's just go for the ride. We've got Champions League football next year. This board have got some acting to do as well in the summer. Let's go and get everything we need to make this club bigger and better.
Apparently Levy got booed at the trophy parade. I'm just trying to... I say I put Levy on screen there.
And Levy got booed, but he's got a big summer now. He's got to act on it. You saw his speech. We finally won the trophy. Let's see what happens.
And I'm not sitting here saying all is well.
Oh, it's not well.
You know what I mean?
It's not
and
well.
all is well and everything's perfect and there's no problems. There's a lot of
major
problems
issues
to sort out. And today was, maybe more evidence that with a heavy defeat, although again, there were reasons for that. But I really believe this season, in terms of the league form, will be a one-off. I do think we've seen he can get a better performances in the league. We've seen it last season. We can play a lot better. I think he's learned a few lessons, harsh lessons this season about injuries and how we play in certain games and all these kind of things. And I think in the Europa League, he's shown he's learned from some of those lessons, I think, as well, in terms of getting over the line in certain occasions. But he's also brought us success. And he's shown if we follow him, he can bring us success if we trust in him. I think he has shown that. And I know people say, look at the 22 defeats, look at that. But for me, he from all the difficult periods, which in any other season we probably sacked the manager, right? We decided to stick with him this time, and yes, the league form has been what it is, but he ends up with a trophy. He ends up with a Europa League trophy, a major European trophy. So for me, I don't care about today. I'm still on a high after winning that Europa League. I'm looking at some clips from the fans in the stadium. Clearly, it's a popular opinion. And look, we had literally 2 days ago. We had a parade. Parading 225,000 Spurs fans on the street of Tottenham, parading a European trophy. So for anyone today after a defeat, when the players have clearly been just drinking for their till their heart's content for the last few days, if you're complaining about this defeat and saying, oh, this and that, not good enough, blah, 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 and for me, I just don't have power to say anything to that. You go and complain. If that's how you live your life, I couldn't care less. I knew we were going to get battered today. It was so obvious. I said it before the game. Everyone knew it. And we just got to be happy. And we're going to summer ahead. We'll see what happens with the manager. For me, I think he's got the right to stay. If we sack him, it depends who we bring in. Like, if there's an amazing option available, let's say Klopp is willing to come back into management and he's willing to take the Tottenham job, okay, fine, you can bring Klopp in. But like, if you're talking about Iraola or Marco Silva or Frank, I don't see the point in sacking Ange for those guys. Ange is the only one of those guys who would have had a European trophy. None of those guys do. So.
And at the end of the day, the board is still the board.
Exactly.
And that's the big concerning thing. I'm
willing to give it another go. I'm willing to give it another season. As Ange said, season 3 is better than season 2. I believe him. I believe it's going to be better. I
hope it's better, because I'm going to be open and honest. If he starts off badly and it's the end of August, then I hope Spurs have already got the backup already lined up.
Exactly. So for me, there'll be a lot of... Look, there's going to be fans, obviously, who react to whoever they want to react to today's defeat. But we're going to be walking around that lap of honour with a European trophy there. And that's the most important thing.
When it comes to honours this year that's been won by the English teams on Sky Sports, when they do it every season on Sky Sports News for the whole summer, our name's going to be there. Not finishing second, not finishing third, not finishing fourth. When it's going to say Champions League places, it's going to have Tottenham's name in there. And that's where we're at. It's not going to say 22 defeats, unfortunately.
Super chat from CCM20 says, where's the context on how easy this Europa League was? Hardest game in the league or knockout was Galatasaray away? I don't care. First of all, there are some good teams in this Europa League. There were some good teams, whatever you want to say.
But most of them, like some of them teams,
some of the teams in this competition, are going to play in
Champions League football next year.
Forget who we played in terms of in this competition. In terms of you saying it's so easy to win, the third best team in the Bundesliga win this competition. The fourth best team in La Liga win this competition. The fifth and sixth best teams in Serie A win this competition. The fifth best team and sixth best team in Liga win this competition. Like, there are some competition player teams who have finished very high up their respective leagues in the top 5 leagues, who all were in this competition and failed to win. If you look at our run, RZ, look, I know they're not the best team, but they battered a good Galatasaray team over 2 legs. The round before we played them. Frankfurt are a good team. We've seen that this season, and we beat them fair and square. Bodo, are a team. Yes, they're not the biggest team and don't have a lot of money, but they beat Lazio in the round before, and they gave a lot of teams a lot of trouble. Beat Porto, beat. I think that they who else? They beat a lot of teams this season, and in previous years in European competition, giving a lot of teams a lot of trouble. So it's never a given that we're going to win that. And then we beat Man United in the final. Who, yes, Man United are not the best Man United we've seen, probably one of the worst, but they're still Man United. They still have a knack of getting themselves over the line in these cup finals that we've seen in previous years. They also knocked Arsenal out the FA Cup. They also, went to Anfield and got a point and beat Man City at the Etihad. This is a team capable of getting big results on big occasions, whatever you want to say. And I'm not saying, it's so amazing to beat them. Obviously, I thought we were going to win, but I'm just saying it's not a given. Yeah. So you can give all the, look at this, look at that, all the context you want. But at the end of the day, we're the ones who won it. We won the whole thing. And you have to be a good team to do that. You can't just win it. It's not just a given you're going to win. And you add in the context, we haven't won anything for 17 years. And we haven't won a European trophy for 40 years. The pressure that puts on these players on these big occasions. You look at who we've lost to in previous years in the Europa League, like Ghent under Poch. That was our best ever Premier League team under Poch.
Yeah, and they lost Ghent.
You know what I mean?
And we got knocked out of the group stage.
That was our best ever team.
Yeah.
So if it was so easy to win this competition and get past these teams, why did our best ever team lose to Ghent? Mourinho lost to Zagreb. Conte lost in the Conference League to Mura. If all these games were just so easy, why these all results happened and it didn't happen to us.
And we finished top 4 that year.
Credit where credit is deserved. Yeah. We have won that Europa League. I don't want to hear any negativity today. I don't care about a loss today. I don't care about 22 defeats. I don't care about 17th. I care that we are the Europa League.
And we won't get relegated next year because Sunderland ain't going to be the Championship side's coming up. There's a big gap. And I think that's what clearly seen. Because if we won today, we were 14th.
Exactly.
So, and that's the throw context in there. But look, Andrew's not getting a free pass for our league form this year. And this is one thing that I will say. Sim might give him a free pass, but I'm not giving it to him. He is not getting a free pass. At the end of the day, there is no way in hell Tottenham should be losing 22 games in a league season. There are games this year that I know in the second part of the season that he shouldn't have been losing. However, he delivered on something that probably I thought I'd never see, and that's the biggest thing. So let's just get on with it.
All right. Well, that is our instant match reaction.